Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination thrive. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Well, it would be a happy Tuesday if I didn't have to open the show with a couple of passings that happened just as I was embarking on Comic-Con. Last week was a tough week, man. I mean, shit, who made it through? Raise your hand. Obviously, the passing of Ozzie Osbourne. We did not get a chance to touch on that. And then one Hulk Hogan who also passed away. Disclaimer, when we get into talking Hulk Hogan, under no circumstances am I condoning or am I alongside of the mentality and some of the things he said and did outside of the wrestling world. What we are going to discuss is the impact that he had on the wrestling world, and whether you like him or not, there are some sleazy individuals in your lifestyle or in your lifetime around you right now. Some of you are going to go to work and clock in and work for some scumbags. Some of you live next door to scumbags, but that doesn't change the fact that some of those scumbags have changed things, have done things, have altered the course of things. And even if they were absolute pieces of dog shit at some point in their life for all their life, you should be a professional enough. I have elected, people have told me, especially people of color have told me that once he outed himself as a racist, you don't owe him any respect. I think that's bullshit. Ty Cobb was a piece of dog shit. He's in the Hall of Fame because for decades he held the hits lead until another person of questionable ilk, Pete Rose, broke that record. Both of those men deserve the respect for what they did for the game. Both of those men deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. So I consider Hulk Hogan amongst that. When and if, whenever Vince McMahon leaves this mortal coil, the same thing will be for him. We've discussed at length some of the stuff that he has been involved in, but you really can't cover professional wrestling and not acknowledge what certain people meant to it, even if they behaved as garbage. So we'll get to that. And then Ozzy Osbourne, I mean, then you have a total different side of the coin. We were just discussing over a few weeks ago on Overnight Live, Ozzy Osbourne's and Black Sabbath's last performance. And this reminds me of Charles M. Schultz. The day after Charles M. Schultz, I believe, stopped doing Peanuts, he passed away. It's almost like some of these guys are holding on to this earth because of the things that they love. And when they are not doing it, either at all or at a certain level, it's time for them to go, and that's it. So we'll discuss Ozzy Osbourne. We're going to go into I got a lot of pictures to show you when it comes to Comic Con. Some of them I showed you last night. We'll discuss Comic Con. We'll discuss some of the things that came on the Comic Con. Word to the wise guys. Please don't ask me questions about anything that's gone on someone else's YouTube channel or another YouTuber. I don't care. I don't care. I already seen, last night it was, it was brought up in the chat. So I'm asking ahead of time. We don't do that. I will end this channel before I dedicate any time to someone that is not on screen with me. I will end my little flimsy YouTube career before I dedicate a stream to another YouTuber as a topic. I will end this. I will it will be done. If other people want to do that, I'm not going to judge them. But that is not the conversation I want to have in my chat, and it's not the conversation that will ever take place here on this show. And with that said, bring in the Static King, Brad from Georgia.
Hello, everybody.
Up there it is. There's his crown. And as soon as you turned on your sound,
Again, I was getting some work done on my PC before we came on. So
why don't you have them both set up? Did you get the power strip? They sell these things that you could plug in multiple devices. I invented those after I invented the mouse, after I invented the remote control, which I hope you all are enjoying and not giving me my credit. I invented the power strip so that you could plug in multiple devices onto the wall, and then there you go, man. You're living like Ted Kaczynski in the Unabomber. All right, I gotta go fix something real quick, but I want to get everything. Hey, Ray, what's going on? You know what? I want to see if Ray wants to come on. I know last night. Ray, are you home yet, Ray? I know you had your flight today, and I know you didn't take Spirit Airlines, which means you got home on time, probably, because I sure did last night. That really just messed up my day yesterday. But fuck Spirit Airlines. Hope you're watching Spirit Airlines. Fuck you. I mean, you're getting, like I said, I don't fly enough to really have, a daily Cox cable AT&T type situation with these guys. So they're lucky. Oh, also still recovering from some of the dumb shit I did in Comic-Con. And some of the stuff that I ate that I could not resist in Comic-Con. We have met a goal. If you guys want to continue, what I'll do is whatever you guys want to throw in, we'll just add a dumb movie to it. And we're going to do this all on Friday. Right now we have Dumb and Dumber 2, Dumb and Dumber, and one of them I haven't seen yet. Happy Gilmore 2. Happy Gilmore 1 was
son of a bitch. Is that got for your home? That's your home. Are you too good for your home?
Okay, another horrific Brad impression. Happy Gilmore was dumb, but not on a level that was like I wanted to kick my TV in. I just thought most of the humor was dumb and didn't land. I did find some things kind of Carl's Weathers, his entire deal in there was kind of funny. The Bob Eubanks thing, beating the hell some of that stuff. It was like I could take it in drips and drabs. Like it was like like I said, Will Ferrell. I love Will Ferrell on Saturday Night Live. Right? I cannot take more than 5 minutes of him. Once the clock ticks 5 minutes and he's on my screen, I generally have to turn it. But when he's doing his thing on Saturday Night Live, I can take it. But he's like a skit that's gone too long. Happy Gilmore was dumb, but it wasn't like, dude, where's my card dumb? So Happy Gilmore 2 is not really going to be so painful to watch. But yeah, so we have Happy Gilmore 2, and then we have Dumb and Dumber, which, like I said, that's its own class of stupidity. But if we want to throw a third one on, make me an offer, and like I said, we'll make it happen this Friday is when I'm going to do all these. So there's a link. It's tied to the top of the chat. Have at it. How you doing, Bill? What's going on? All right, William Gunn asked if Black Adam and Shazam 2 are canon. Okay, this got taken out of context. Did a hardcore cameo, and he said no, I hate it. Should he have left it? No, he came back and clarified. I don't even see why he answers these questions. He hated the fact that they were those characters were forced into those cameos. He did not hate those movies. He hated the fact that those characters, and he explained it, they had no point in That was just part of Hamada and them not having a plan and trying to continue their non-plan. So if he's going to answer these questions, I wish he would go and give a full-throated answer, because the internet we're not the brightest sometimes, and we just take the ball and run into a wall. How you doing, Larry? Did you see it again? Because I know you said you saw it last night. How you doing, Droga? Manzano, what's going on? Dork Knight, what's up? William, I'm going to give Hulk Hogan all the credit for what he did for this business, but I'm not going to dilute myself into thinking the guy was a great person. Oh, no. And like I said, remember, I grew up with Hulk Hogan without the internet, without people going in. You kept kayfabe. You did not delve into these people's private life. They kept that persona. When they weren't in the ring or when in the pub, you didn't hear about what they went on. We just didn't have that kind of access. We didn't have that access until recently. But once we did, you know what? Certain people, it's like, damn, he deserves to be on Mount Rushmore probably twice. But when you use the N-word with the hard R on it, when talking about, you not wanting your daughter to date one of us, and if she does date one of us, at least he should be an 8-foot basketball player, that was a kick right in the groin for me. The little kid me was like, you motherfucker. Because because we didn't have a way there was nowhere to slip up and find out these things. When you're 8, 9, 10 years old, you just see Hulk Hogan coming out. I'm a real American. Eat your vitamins. Do all your stuff like that. Love everybody. Do all this stuff, and then you hear, he wouldn't want me anywhere near him or his family. And then you see with his son, damn near his son, I think, put a guy in a wheelchair, and they were always trying to make excuses for his son's reckless drive, all the stuff that he just became. And then the union thing, and just the more you learn, the more you had access to him, the more you're like, wow. That is why on my belt, the belt that Hulk Hogan held, he held that same exact style of belt that I have Ric Flair sign, that I want Ricky Steamboat to sign, that I had Sting sign. I don't want Hulk Hogan. I'm never going to get it, obviously, but if he had lived to be 100, and if I were standing across from him with this belt and a Sharpie, and he was saying, William, come over, let me sign your belt, I'd have been like, no, that's okay. Because every time I would have looked at that belt, I would have heard his words in his own voice telling what he thought about me. And I'm like, dude, I never mind. I respect your role. I respect what you did for wrestling. Like I said, there is no such thing as modern day wrestling if guys like Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair, but even with Hulk Hogan, because he had a bigger platform at the time because of the WWF, because of Rocky III, because of the cartoons, because of Cyndi Lauper, because of Captain Lou Albino, he had the platform, he had the charisma, he had the big size and the cartoon, the cartoonish elements. Oh, hey, I'm live. That's great. He had it all, and he had it all at the time where a very important key factor was happening, and that was MTV. Nobody latched on to MTV bigger than Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, I mean, everything about that era, he was the 80s for wrestling. And without the 80s, you don't get the 90s. You don't get Raw. You don't get Nitro. He didn't just spark an entire revolution in the 1980s. He came over in the following decade, and what he did with the NWO will never be matched. What he was willing to do with his character, yeah, he's an asshole in real life, but what he was willing to do with his brand, turning himself into a heel, when most of the country still saw him as a great guy, great positive icon, for him to do what he did with the NWO on July 6, 1996 at Bash at the Beach was historic. It changed the game again. His big, giant fingerprints are all over this industry. And there's no way if you just, a person who doesn't watch wrestling, doesn't cover wrestling, doesn't care about wrestling, yeah, you can just write him off. Yeah, he was a bigot. He was an asshole. Fuck him. Yeah. But if you're somebody like me, a absolute complete wrestling dork who's been watching for decades upon decades and had something to watch because of the things that he accomplished, rest in peace, Hulk Hogan, the wrestler. We can debate somewhere else if ever, about Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea, the person. Next one was Ozzie. I did not know how ill Ozzie was, even up to the point where he was, they started announcing he had Parkinson's disease. I didn't know if that was a terminal thing, but obviously I don't know if Ozzy Osbourne felt the end coming. I don't know if Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath and his family around him saw where his health was, because they're going to know it more than we did. Prioritize that last goodbye, because he didn't know if he was going to get another chance to not only, say that goodbye, but how long he was going to be here. I just, I don't know what to believe as far as because that's a private matter. All I know is that Ozzy Osbourne passed away at the age of, what was he, 76, 77? I think he was born in 1940. I think he's the same age as my dad. So, Ozzy, I can't say any more than I said 3 weeks ago when I didn't know he was about to pass. He and Black Sabbath are credited with the creation of heavy metal. Now, I have some slight disagreements here. When I think of the creation of heavy metal, I think of Deep Purple. I think of certain elements of Pink Floyd. I think of Jimi Hendrix. I think of a lot of different elements. You can make the argument that Ozzy Osbourne and Tony Iommi and Geezer, all these, they put that entire experiment together, and they were the first ones to make it recognizable as heavy metal. But in any event, if you're in a conversation of I created something, anything, if you're anywhere near that conversation, even in an argument, you lived a life. And Ozzy Osbourne, he lived the rock star life. He had the drug addiction. He did all that stuff. But from everything I can understand, this guy was a cool guy. You got to see with the show, the fact that he was a father. He was a grandfather. He had the same priorities that any other family had. I'm pretty sure he had flaws too. Not as bad as Hulk Hogan. But when you sit yourself on a crown, you drag yourself on the stage and use your last bits of life to perform for the very last time, and you see who showed up on that stage. You see Metallica. You see some of the big stadium sellout type of people come to your stage and pay homage to you. You did something right. Last week was a rough week to lose all these people. Malcolm Jamal Warner, Ozzy Osbourne, Hulk Hogan. It was like, damn, I was almost afraid to look at the alerts on my phone. Am I still here? Shit. So rest in peace to Hulk Hogan. I think I've been fair in discussing Hulk Hogan and Ozzy Osbourne.
I'd say so.
Yeah. Ozzy Osbourne is enough said. I mean, I am glad that I got to say what I felt about Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath weeks before he died. I'm glad I didn't have to say that as a response to that, because it doesn't change how I feel about that band. And you know what? Rest in peace to the both of them. And let's make this a week where we don't have multiple. I don't want to have to open up the show with multiples. Damn. I don't think I've had to do that in a long time, if ever. Multiple RIPs. Fuck that. Let's have a better week. Hi, Rhea. Sent you a link if you want to join. I know you're tired. All right. So, all right. What else with news? I mean, we're gonna jump into the Comic-Con questions. If you got Comic-Con questions, let's answer it. What else? Superman past 500. Congratulations, James Gunn. That should submit your status.
Yeah. Warner Brothers is now Discovery is now unmerging too.
Yeah, that's so that they can create new stock and new stock prices. They basically ended up where they were. So now what's going to end up happening is now you have one of them is going to be considered now a new company. They're both going to be considered two new companies, and they're going to be able to resettle their stock prices. I don't know where their stock is going to go from there, to be honest with you. I still don't know where the revenue is coming from to make their stock attractive, but I'll have to see the initial offering, the IPO. If the initial offering, it depends on where they're at. I don't think Superman's enough to move the stock. It didn't move the stock at all. So I don't think.
Well, if it hit $1 billion, I don't think it would have been enough to move the stock.
Well, there was never a chance that it was going to. So
but even if it did, I'm saying
no. No, because their stock stayed steady when Joker hit $1 billion.
That's what I'm saying. It's like even if it hit $1 billion, that wouldn't have
Oh
done
yeah,
anything.
no, it's not because, like I said, that's revenue. $1 billion hits don't necessarily do stuff for the stock. When I'm buying Disney stock, I don't give two fucks on whether they have $1 billion movies or not. Don't care. You know what I care about when I'm buying Disney stock? How those parks doing. How the park revenue and the merchandising revenue doing? The parks are where Disney makes their money. $37 to $38 billion annually is this. That's the king of their revenue. Comic book movies and all the other stuff that they do is not a priority for them. It helps with the IPs, but those parks, Disneyland, Disney World, and they got Disney wherever. That's where they use these IPs to make the real kind of money. So yeah, you have $1 billion movie. So what? How the park's doing? Warner Brothers doesn't have that. They need, because they're a studio, they need these things to go well because there's no backup revenue for them. They've cut all that out. They don't even have the sports anymore.
Well, speaking of revenue, do you want me to pull up the thing I shared with you earlier?
What, the Todd McFarlane thing?
Yeah.
Todd McFarlane. I got a bad taste in my mouth with Todd McFarlane. I can get my goddamn book signed. That up.
Oh, like you only happened like this would only be like the second time you would have gotten it.
Yeah, man, shit.
Okay, so for those of you who may not know, Todd, McFarlane Toys has just recently launched a GoFundMe for a line of action figures they want to do with. They're planning for a Batman v Superman and Zack Snyder's Justice League, and courtesy of a screenshot from Mr. South Cali guy, one of our subscribers, goal reached, $400,000 in 5 days. So I had some fun with this. I quoted, say, "Oh, so you're fast." That's like an oversimplification.
Oh, okay. I missed the joke. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That'll be cool to see those get out there.
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty. My editor at Fortress, Jared, he actually had the article we were breaking down the Peacemaker season 2 trailer the other day, and he actually had one go up about this. He did this before he hit the goal, where he said, "Yeah, it's a dead universe, but still has quite a pulse." So I thought I'd bring this up because I thought I'd ask William about just what are your thoughts on this about this league as far as like data or just in general.
In general, it's kind of cool. It's just something else to add to the numbers when the time comes, if there's ever a time to come.
Now, granted, too, the numbers on whoever's back in this, I really hope that you guys have deep pockets because these figures are not going to come cheap when they're produced.
No. The real number is going to be when they're made and how many he distributes and how many he sells. That's going to be the thing. The demand. I mean, $400,000 is good. Is that for? Yeah, $400,000.
Yeah, because this is the GoFundMe to fund the production of all this.
Which is cool. Now, how many are we going to make? What's the volume going to be? And it's just going to be something that somebody, at some point may take a look at and be like, you know what, there's interest here. The biggest interest, like I said, I don't think you'll be able to properly gauge the demand of this particular universe until you put it on papers and staples, because the volume there is going to tell you what kind of transferable fan base you have and whether you can rely on that. Because what you need is reliable information to be like, okay, let's take the next step. But for me, like I said, we're going to get, before we ever get anything Snyder, it's the other Snyder that's probably going to produce a movie. It's the other Snyder that's probably going to produce an animated cartoon. It's the other Snyder that's going to produce continuation, and that's Scott Snyder, because we have that kind of data, But this is just something else. This is something else to look back, if somebody ever does get to the point where they put it all together, you can stop listening to the mouth beaters that, that just want to, impress their friends and say, "Oh, it's dead, it's dead, it's dead." All they're doing is putting, pebbles in their brain to shake around that sound like whatever the other YouTuber they said. You can refute that kind of nonsense with things like this, but it's going to take a lot more.
And again, like this the fact they reached this goal in 5 days. I mean, that's just like, and again, this wasn't even like necessarily like widely. This wasn't like plastered on like every publication this was happening. It's just word got out there, it's happening. Fans said, okay, let's back it. Let's throw some money at it. And
$400,000 is a lot of money. I won't doubt that. But when you're talking about whether you have a viable anything, you need a couple more zeros, and you need the distribution to be wide, and you need the cells to be many.
Well, and this kind of reminds this specifically. I was thinking about this today. It kind of reminds me of. Do you remember? It was after the first Snyder Con when he, or it was actually, I think it was the lead into it, where he did the All the God shirt, where it had like the kind of like the symbolic sort of breakdown of the whole story with like the symbols of each character, and of course there was a big AFSP GoFundMe for the shirts of that. I think it's the first one. Zach was actually kind of actively involved with that, and those generated similar numbers to this, kind of a similar time frame in the lead up to that. So, kind of looking back, as sort of where my mind went on this. It's like, oh, this. I mean, as far as like the revenue generated and the time frame it happened, it's like, yes, this kind of reminds me a little bit of that with the All the God shirt.
Yeah, but you're gonna need you're gonna need something, and you're gonna need something modern too. Because, like I said, nothing that happens with BBS and any of those things that happened years ago, no matter how much we watched the 2020. Right now, you would need a justification for somebody to spend modern money, 2025, 2026, 2027 money. Right now, we just don't have an indication. We don't have an indication right now. We don't have. This is nice, but we don't really have anything. I don't think you will. You won't have any indicator to tell somebody to let's risk, even a quarter on this until you put it in a format that is so widely distributed that it's undeniable. You can't deny absolute Batman. You can't. You can't deny absolute Superman. It's impossible. You cannot. Whether you like it or not, you cannot. You can't deny absolute Wonder Woman. The numbers are there. They're irrefutable. There's no argument. When you if you were to put out, if you to put it out as DSGL comic book and it sells 500 grand, you can basically tell everybody to shut the fuck up. You can have a moment of silence for anybody that wants to tell you anything other than what the math tells you. And you can bypass those people. You go straight to the people. Like I said, in order to get anything from anyone, you have to speak the language of the person you're trying to get something from. And, I want it and I feel robbed that means shit to an executive. But if you were to roll up with 500 copies sold of something, just like Scott Snyder did, I went from 2024 Comic-Con with his presentation, everybody being excited and nervous about it, to a year later, he pretty much has the keys to that portion of DC. And that's what you need. Once you put up those type of numbers in that type of format, that's what's going to move the needle. This is nice, but I don't think this moves the needle enough to ever even give it a second thought other than that. Todd McFarlane is a brand unto itself. So there are people who will never ever watch Zack Snyder's Justice League that are going to buy. I saw them. They were getting me cut off in line. So they will buy. They could make a Todd McFarlane figure of me, which would be horrific, but somebody's going to buy it because Todd McFarlane made it. So you got to understand there's a lot of factors that would skew this. But when you roll in and I got 500 copies of so-and-so, right? That means your story. A toy can sell for a bunch of different reasons. A story sells because of the story. So right now, we really don't have the kind of data that we would need to even go into the office. If I go into the office with this, they can be, that's nice. And then they'll tell me to come back when I got, something that can, determine something. But yeah, it's nice. Congratulations, Tom McFarlane, even though you didn't sign my Batman 423. But yeah, I think we're a long way away from that. I hate to say that for anybody who's hoping on that, but I just need to be practical about that. Thank you, Rhea. I enjoyed doing that interview. For those of you who did not watch or did not have a chance to see, the long-awaited.
Well, we're going to talk about it, but I'm going to pull up something else in a second here.
Yeah, the long-awaited article that I got a chance to finally do with Robert Meyer Burnett is now up on the channel.
Yep.
It took me 2 Comic Cons to get this done, but if you don't give up on things, there you go. And I dedicated it, and I did it in the.
This is my favorite headline about it. So sorry to interrupt. Warner Brothers Discovery meet Warner Brothers and Discovery.
Okay, where was that?
Sorry, I just caught my eye on Twitter while you were talking. So I just had to pull that up. It was fresh in my mind.
I'm gonna go ahead and put the link to that interview in there, and yeah, I chose the setting where I chose it because, like I said, Anthony Bourdain was big for me as far as watching him go. It's probably the suicide that probably broke my heart the most. So I wanted to do this. I could have probably got this interview done sooner, but I decided I wanted to do it in a restaurant. I wanted to do it in the type of places that he would do it into. And my camera angle ain't the best in here. And there's a reason why. Rob, I'm sorry, but that's a little bit on you. Where I had set up and I waited for an hour and a half and he didn't show because he got caught up in something else. Understandably, it's Comic-Con. I had reserved a wide table with a deep table, and I could clamp my cameras onto it. And I actually had it set up with the USB hub to where I had 3 cameras, my 3 flip-up Logitech cameras, aimed one on the side, one on the other side, and one straight away because the table, the booth table I had was big, and I picked that one for a reason. And that's why when I got there and he first didn't show, I didn't want to leave because that table was perfect. I ended up coming, we ended up rescheduling, and I go down there on to the same place, which, by the way, Mary Jane's on 5th Avenue, 277 5th Avenue, and in downtown San Diego, literally right as you cross the gas path. You people are great. Thank you for being patient with me, especially that second time around where you were packed and you let me sit there. This time, however, none of those seats were available, and I had this small cafe table. And we're big guys. Rob's a big dude. I'm a big dude. So we had to squeeze in and at a different angle. And I had to put the camera, the phone at this point, because I didn't have room to load up other cameras to dead center on a napkin holder. So when you see this interview, I have the phone clipped to a napkin holder because that's all I had to make adjustments. I had to make it happen. But yeah, we talked about a lot of different things. We covered a range of a lot of different things, some of the things we disagree on, but some of the things we liked. Physical media, that's a big thing with him. Star Trek, general storytelling. He hadn't seen Fantastic Four yet, so we didn't talk too much about that. But he had seen Superman and some of the stuff. Some of the guy's a wealth. He's an endless wealth of knowledge when it comes to the genre and things that a lot of us are into. So I'm glad he made the time a day. He gave me an hour. I probably would have given more, but he gave me a solid hour, and we got it all there. So, like I said, dedicated to Anthony Bourdain, simply. And
look at the image.
And we put all of our stuff in the front of that, because I want everybody that's watching to understand, if there's any good that can come out of that man's death, is that you guys go get help. Don't be afraid to go get help. Do not be afraid to go get help. All right. Thank you, Belle. Let's see. I'm getting images. Let's see who this is. This is on Twitter. I just got to make sure that... All right, cool, guys. All right, so where are we at? Let's jump on. How you doing, Steven Ortega? He got saved, so at least he tried. Okay. Let's see. Oh, you got home. You got home this morning? Okay, good. I got home this morning too, but not the way I was supposed to. We have not watched Billy Madison on the channel. No, we have not. How you doing, Azteca? What's going on? I can't wait to see Ben Stiller again and Happy Gilmore 2. How about a tall plastic shut the hell up?
You think your warm glass of shut the hell up? You go to sleep. I put you to sleep.
Happy Gilmore 2 was all right. I didn't hate it. So
I get a chance to watch this weekend, and probably gonna give it a look pretty soon.
Yes, I did. I saw that. And by the way, when you go to their exterior display at Comic-Con, and we're going to get to that here in a minute, they have Easter eggs and numbers and stuff, all that refer to all the stuff that's in the comics. It's kind of cool. Yeah. He seems like a cool guy that you could just sit down and do exactly what we did, which is sit down over a couple of sodas. I don't drink, and wings and chicken and talk. and talk in a conversation. He's just one of those guys who you don't have to. I have my list of questions and my list of topics like I do whenever I have any type of conversation like that. But that was just to get the topic going. You just didn't feel like you had to force the issue with him, or that he was going to be uncomfortable with saying anything. The conversation just flowed, and I was really happy with that. I was real happy that the fact that everything that came out of his mouth, he was enthusiastic about. He doesn't open his mouth when he's enthusiastic about something, So it was good. It's good. It's cool to sit down and talk with people like that, because literally that's why I do the things that I do. That's why I opened up my own retail location. That's why, to have these kind of conversations with people and to be able to have one in real life. Yeah, we've done one on the internet before, but I think, and we talked about that too. Yeah, we're on the internet. We use the internet. The internet is great. I think the internet makes shitheads out of a lot of us. This whole Superman and DC and DCU and Marvel versus DC debate, be honest with you, if it were people meeting at the comic book store instead of shitheads on the internet hiding behind a screen, had an avatar and a keyboard, the conversation would be different. We've lost our balls and we've lost our decorum when it comes to this format. And 90% of the stupid shit that people do, the thumbnails and the topics and just the really garbage shit that we do. If we had to meet people and sit down with people and discuss these same topics, you guys wouldn't do that shit. Not only because, like I said, you'd be afraid. That'd be secondary. You probably have more self-respect. People probably have more self-respect for themselves and the people that they're talking to than they know. It's just when you get on this format, you just become a shithead. So it was cool to talk to somebody who, like I said, when we had to have conversations when we were kids, we had to have conversations. And if we had this in an agreement, I'm gonna block you. What kind of fucking infantile bullshit is that? I'm not talking to him about that. Unless somebody's, like I said, if there's a threat or something, a harass, there's a difference between that. But I disagree with you. Well, your opinion, I can't take your opinion. You're blocked. And like I said, you didn't have that option. You didn't have the old, you were in societies and you were in things where you had to figure something out, and now you don't. And when you don't have to figure things out, you can do stupid shit because there's no consequences. So yeah, we were talking about that. We were talking about I think a lot of what physical media brought to our generation, and that a lot of people are missing, was that random encounter I always speak of. That going to a big bookstore, or going to a video store, and being in the same horror or science fiction section as somebody, and he picks up an H.R. Geiger thing, and you're in the H.R. Geiger, you're in the Alien, automatically, no matter what else is about you, you have something common with the person standing right across from you. Easy conversation to be had. We don't have that anymore. We find each other by stupid ass headlines, sensationalized headlines. And I asked him that because now he's obviously he does a lot of streaming. He has a huge following, and I was asking him things like, do you miss the fact that we didn't have to sensationalize things to get people to talk to us? We didn't have to have a stupid ass headline. We didn't have to start a beef with somebody. We didn't have to do all that crazy shit, just to be part of a conversation. If you found somebody you had something in common with, you sat down and you talked to them. So that was a lot of as part of our conversation. So it was reflective of that. But yeah, he's a very awesome guy. Yeah, Bullet Club is the direct copy of the NWO. So, and it's still making money. So. Oh, William, you remind me of the comic store owner back in Georgia. He would always have wrestling on when I go into. Yeah, that's me. That's me. A lot of times I'm multitasking too. A lot of times I'll be streaming with you guys. I'll have wrestling on because we talk wrestling, and plus, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, I watch New Japan. I am that wrestling fanatic. So. Yeah, Hulk definitely paved the way. Like I said, we don't have modern wrestling because it just doesn't have it wasn't that attraction until he came along. The term heavy metal started with Sabbath. No one said before Sabbath came out in the scene in 1968. Sure, other bands and artists may have had a similar sound, but it wasn't considered that. I understand, Azteca. I don't agree. I understand the term where it comes from in the history. I just, as fans of all that stuff and listening to the lineage going up to that, I would have to slightly disagree. But once again, that's an easy disagreement to have because they were either there or they were at the forefront. They were somewhere in the neighborhood of the beginning. So really. Paranoid is my shit. Yeah, the entire media has been saying that Black Sabbath the minute. Yeah, and like I said, that's one of those conversations you could have without punching somebody out, type of thing. Because you're like, because you if you somebody comes in and says Ozzie and Tony and all those guys invented heavy metal, to be honest with you, it ends up starting a much deeper and much more entertaining conversation in it because you're talking about all kinds of other bands. In your race to try to prove that point, you're actually bringing up for some really cool ass bands and covering some really cool stuff. So, it's hard to say because Galactus, as far as his appearance goes, it's perfect. He looked perfect. As far as his size goes, things like that, I mean, he can change that. But yeah, that Galactus looked like something Jack Kirby would draw. The price for the Justice's Gray package is insane. Yeah,
those are not going to be cheap when they're actually produced.
How much are they?
I think, like what is it? I mean, some of these are going to be like north of 100. So I mean, and I saw like Scott, from DC Squadcast talking about like, I guess.
Oh yeah, he's getting one.
Yeah, another funeral for my wallet. Like it's like the whole like. I mean, if you haven't like watched that one Vodka stream, everybody where they had Ray Porter on, and it was Scott. He was unboxing like the big like light. Like human-sized, like Dark Side bus with Ray Porter there. I think actually Zach and Deborah were on that stream too. And Ray cracked a great one-liner where he said, I just realized, Scott, what you got right there, it's the anti-wife equation.
Superman was the biggest domestic opening in Jurassic World. Who would have ever thought that? Well, in all due respect, who cares? Domestic openings and openings don't mean shit to me. That's why when people say that, the totality of what you made, Brad's Enema, which I can't even believe I'm saying that. Yeah. Get back to me with the final tally. That's all I care about. It's the same thing with BBS. When people were shitting in their diapers about BBS dropping, I'm like, I don't give a fuck where you get the 873 from. Did you get the 873? That's all I care about. The end game. And then in these days, you're counting money all the way, and James Gunn says it's not going to be on streaming until September. I don't know about that. Gunn never misses. Yeah, what are you talking about? You ever heard of a movie called The Suicide Squad?
Yeah, I was about to say Suicide Squad. I would disagree with you.
He missed about negative $54 million. So it's but like I said, I don't know why you're discussing it in these terms. These terms don't matter. How you doing, Daniel? Let's see. Where the fuck is 4,000? Not in this chat, thankfully.
Oh, AC, Anthony's got Justice Gray with 3 figurines of Battlefield is $169.99. Yeah, I told you.
Hey, Anthony, and you'll buy it, damn it. You will buy it as soon as it comes out. You're gonna be there and you're gonna say it's fire. Do you know other comic book store owners? I traveled last weekend and found another account named the Comic Cave. I met some other store owners today. I met at Comic-Con. I met a lot of store owners. We were talking. It's cool. I love meeting those guys because they come from all over, and you get to see what's going on in their market versus what's going on in yours. Without Benson, there would be no Hogan. Without Hogan, there would be no wrestling. We have today the 2 biggest scumbags in wrestling made the sport we have. Yeah. I mean, I can't repeat that because, yeah, Vince. Ugh. I get what you're saying, Will, but if we wanted to go way back, I could say Chuck Berry paved. Yeah, I could say Chuck Berry paved the road. I could say Bo Diddley paved the road. I could say BB King. If you ask any of the major heavy metal guys that came from the 70s and rock bands that came throughout, the genesis of their sound came from the blues. And I just named a bunch of guys that pretty much transitioned that sound into a much harder edge. So yeah. Let's see. Just as okay, yeah. This is Anthony. Needs to see Anthony. All right. Well, Crazy Joe said a long time ago when he was in Vegas, he went to buy comics, and he thinks he went to your store. He may have. He may have.
Well, was William in there?
I might not have been there. I would remember Joe. I think I would have remembered Joe, unless it was before I knew him on YouTube. It's possible that he could have met me. I'm hard to forget though. I ran into people at Comic-Con that recognized me. That still creeps me out, man. I consider myself a nobody, and when you walk up to me, I had a guy that was at Comic-Con walk up to me. I don't know where he remembered me from, but he could not see the logo on my sleeve because I was facing this way, and he called out my company name. I'm like, it just was like weird to me, man. William and Brad, are you shocked and surprised that Jurassic World Rebirth is at 700 million? Do you think it reaches $1 billion? No.
Nope. I'm not shocked and surprised at all.
I don't think any of these movies are going to reach the $1 billion because you start losing screens as other movies get put out. And you got to make adjustments to keep screens. And plus, like I said, even though James Gunn says they're going to keep Superman in the theater as long as possible, I don't think he has that. I don't think that's his call. That's going to be a Zaslav call. And I really do think that the stockholders want to get that. I mean, they would be insane not to want to get that to PVOD. I'm like, dude, once you reach 500 million, why I know you don't care about the cinemas as much. I mean, why?
Especially at this point, it's not going to make much more. It's probably going to top at about 550.
But even if, okay, let's say argument's sake, it made 650. You're giving 35% of that 650 to somebody else. Why don't you, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That's, but like I said, I know he said that Superman wasn't going into September, but once again, that's a distribution decision, and he's not the distributor. So it's going to be interesting to see if that's what he wants, and then Warner Brothers says, okay. Or if they say, I think we could make a lot of money on other media. I don't know. Little Richard, to be honest with you, it's hard to dispute Little Richard's role in rock and roll and heavy metal and the range and the singers and the things that he did. And a lot of people who made it big took from Little Richard. Remember, we were dealing with segregation. There were certain places that Little Richard could not go to perform. There were certain outlets. They would not play Little Richard on the radio. So what Little Richard did, he wrote a lot of songs, and they got big, and he got credit for them. And then that's how he got on. But Little Richard, it was a huge influence on rock and roll in general, and rock and roll led to a lot of stuff we got today. So yeah, Mighty Rex, that's a good point. Yeah, he might be stretching the imagination a little bit, but when you look at the legitimate history of Little Richard and who he wrote for and who's his name, his credits are on some of these, yeah. As far as independent publishers, I took about 20 or 30 different cards from independent publishers. I scanned a lot of QR codes. A lot of them just have their QR code, so I made a lot of connections. So I am trying to broaden my horizons when it comes to some independent. I still have to review some of the stuff that I looked at and to see, there's negotiations you got to work out to get an indie comic in that you don't when it's other comics, percentages, things like that. So yeah, we know it all began. The blues, Little Richard, I consider to be the real king of rock and roll, though. Dude, you would not, like I said, I wouldn't fight you on that at all. All right, let's see. Damn, it does, but like I said, you have a lot of there was a lot of black artists. Like I said, we were dealing with an unfortunate time when it comes to when it came to segregation and radios. The radios, everything was segregated. TV was segregated, everything, and even the things that weren't in the South that weren't segregated. The American corporate stiffs at the time, even if they backed it and said, you know what, we like this, but we don't know if anybody will watch, we'll lose our sponsors in certain regions. It was a mess. I'm glad I wasn't alive back then. It was a mess. So, yeah. All right, let's go take a look at my Comic-Con pictures. And by the way, this is your guys' time to ask me. Oh, by the way, when it comes to Absolute, somebody was asking me the other night, when are the Absolute people are going to start crossing over and teach each other's books? The very first one will be Absolute Wonder Woman 15. Batman, Absolute Wonder Woman team up in Absolute Wonder Woman number 15.
And that should be
that's December 24th. December 24th.
Oh, so this year. Okay.
Yeah, it comes out on Christmas Eve. All right, let's go.
Merry Christmas.
Let's see. Window. Wow. Here we go. So let's take a look at some of the photos. This is everything. This is everything that I pretty much took. Make sure. There's my popcorn bucket. There it is. I think I might give him a different name than Galactus. But there you go. There's my popcorn bucket. Ill-advised purchase, but hey, gotta have some fun. There's the one I resisted. There he is. He's still sitting there at AMC Mission 18. And then this insanity. This thing was huge, man. I mean,
is there a dude inside that?
There's a dude inside, and you can't see it from here. Hold on.
Well, it was like he's on stilts, or
yeah. I don't know why it's freezing. It's like my time here is limited. But he has, right where you see the rims right there, or where his actual feet are, his head and face are under his chin. You can see his actual, you can see when he turns this way, you can kind of see like right above that big disc that's on his chest. See that opening? That opening stayed open, and that's how he saw. And then he had extensions on everything else. And then he had like a big crown thing that he was wearing to control his head, because he could completely control and turn his head. It's kind of cool. What else we got here? There they are, Brad. Look at that. And I got about half of those bad boys.
They look good.
They're not burgers, dumbass. and even if they were, the joke is not funny.
That was a joke. I just said they look good.
Whatever.
There was an episode of Good Burger where they introduced good weenies, so this technically applies.
I don't even know why you even watched that show. This was hell every time I needed coffee. And this line was long as shit. Boy, it's like, my God. And then, unlike this year or last year, I had somebody that as soon as they saw me, they made my drink perfectly. Man, I had a different person each time. They fucked up my drink every time I went there. This was kind of cool. This was one of the sides of the entire Marvel booth. And this is the Yancey Street fish market. And if you look close, you can't really see it here. But if you were actually there, there are numbers and dates that correlate with issues of like the one right above that crate there. You can see the issue. It's the issue where Ben Grimm is wearing that exact same thing, and he's lifting up that exact same cap. They did that all over, and I thought it was cool. This is the Pink Ranger. Like I said, she's so tiny, and I look like Mighty Joe Young.
Yeah, she does. Yeah. And you're what, 6'2"?
6'2", and you know what? I need to stop.
I'm about 6 feet even, so I would have towered over her too.
I need to start photoshopping my head. Hold on for a second, because I don't like the way my head's looking on any of these fucking pictures, man. Hold on. Like I said, okay, here we go. Jay Leva, I'm working on this Friday for Jay Leva. I will announce that.
Is he going to be with us for the Dumb and Dumber watch party?
No, I wouldn't subject anybody to that.
I bet he's a fan. Come on.
I bet you there's a lot of fans, but it's the dumbest movie ever made. Let's see. This was cool. I love this setup. This was inside the Marvel booth. or the Marvel section. They had their own little. It wasn't as good as last year. Last year they had an entire stage. They had an entire stage. Where where's the Predator mask? Where's this? I never really put this on. It's a downgrade from last year though. When you went to the Alien Romulus, dang, they gave you a face hugger. And some of those assholes came back to this con to that Alien thing with those face huggers. And I'm like, you're one of the assholes who didn't sell it to me last year when I was stuck in all H, did you? But yeah, there it is. Kind of cool. That good resin material though. This survived my. I packed one bag and I was afraid that this was gonna crack because of the way I had it stored. But nah, this is made out of good shit. There it is. All right, I'm gonna answer some quick questions here. Down to the grade. Exactly. 8/28 is Jack Kirby's birthday. Oh, Amy Jo Johnson. First of all, I don't hit women. Only time I would ever hit a woman if it were like a woman my size that if I did not protect myself, I might get hurt. But average size woman, I don't hit women. Don't hit women. So yeah, we'll never have that conversation. So let me go back to these pictures real quick. So Brad, if you got any questions, since you didn't accept my invite to come out.
I mean, not big, I mean, J.O. Leave, obviously, which, by the way, I, informed William that he had a booth there. So you could thank me for this picture, everybody. And by extension, you can thank me for Jay being on the show at all. So even when I wasn't on the ground, I was still.
Well, you got a lot to make up for it, man. You fuck up the show on a daily basis. It's about time you pull your weight. No, just kidding. This is Dark Side. This is the absolute Dark Side, or he's a Dark Side that's outside of the universe. So he's
but this is like what he looks, or he's going to look like within the books.
Yeah.
Did they say when he's going to be prominently a part of Absolute
by the end of this year?
So when the Batman Wonder Woman crossover happens,
roughly around there, because there's the DC KO thing, which is what this big tournament that they were doing, and the basically what it is they have to fight each other to figure out the who is strongest to fight Darkseid. I don't know if I'm on board with that premise, but all right. I mean, I trusted him. There's it's a tournament. So they started slotting names, and as the months go on, you'll see the names there. People got a kick out of this, dude. They love that. I was like, all right, this is, what? I'm not as big on this as I was at Absolute DC when it first launched. But you know what? I trust you guys with it. There's the pen. I have this pen. This is the pen. Last year we got the Absolute Batman pen. But this is the booster gold from the All In universe, not the Absolute universe. There's no Absolute booster gold as far as I know. Aquaman's getting a new book. Or getting a new book reset. Which one was this? Oh, the Time Trapper. They're gonna finally, somebody's bringing back the Time Trapper because the Time Trapper is huge in the Absolute and All In universes. So this is all doing the Absolute DC panels. Like I showed you guys these last night. These are the books that are coming out. I cannot wait to get those on the counter because it's going to help people get into them a lot easier. Even though I've kept the book's cheap, but people like to buy them in volume. This is the cover of Absolute.
Have they said anything about Absolute crossover after this, or is that's just the first preview they given of it?
This is it so far, but that doesn't mean that this is just the one that's going to be happening. There's the design matrix for Absolute Catwoman. That's her mask is pretty much just a dome that can come over her mouth, but that's her right there. She's prominent. They were talking about the confrontations with Bane and how big he is and how the differences between Bane from the Absolute universe and the failure that was the one in the DC universe. So this is perfect. I have no desire to see Naked Gun, but they had a lot of promo there. This is a urinal. So perfect place for the Naked Gun. But yeah, they had the weird place to advertise your movie. But if you're a guy and that's your demographic, you're looking down. This is about as close to getting into the Predator's Badlands things that I could get because this is one of those mini things that were booked up.
Oh, and you saw the first 15 minutes, right?
Yes, I saw the first 15 minutes of the movie, but I wanted to get into here, but the story of my con was
well, what can you share with us about that? About Predator Badlands, seeing those for you said it was like a work print, but like yeah.
I guess I could share. Basically, it starts out with this. It's two brothers fighting. The one brother has been sent. This is just the premise of the movie. It's not really a spoiler. The one brother has been sent to kill the younger brother, the one we'll know as the Predator that we see in the movie, because he's considered the weakest of the tribe, and he's a runt. He's a disgrace, and the Predator chieftain, which is their father, does not want any weakness, so he has sent his eldest son to go kill him, but his brother, he just can't do it. He can't kill his brother, and then the father arrives. And then the younger predators, he said, "Hey, I'm going to go on this hunt, and when I go bring back this big mythical monster, he's going to accept me." And he's like, "Your bigger brother's not. You're going to get killed. You're going to get killed." The father comes in and says, "Why isn't he dead yet? Why hasn't it done yet?" He's like, he's going to go on a hunt. He's like, "Nonsense. We should have killed him as he slept." And then they start fighting. The brother and the father fight. It's in the bigger brother is giving he has a ship programmed to snatch the younger predator into the ship and take off, and he dies buying his brother enough time from his father, who eventually kills him. So automatically I need the father to die at some point because he's an asshole. So I that's what it was about. That's the first thing I was in. I was already in because it's Dan Trachtenberg. He hasn't let me down so far. But this got me. If I was on the fence, this knocked me in. And Alien Earth was its own Fantastic Four. I was not at the George Lucas panel. As far as I know, he did not. Ray, if she's in the chat, I think she might be. I figured you. You're like, hey, Aaron, how tall are you? Because when we meet out in the Outback, am I gonna have to put you, have like a little Yoda thing, like put you on my backpack and run with you? Are you tall enough to?
She's still kick anybody's ass. So.
Listen, you kung fu types. I don't think you understand. I've thought about everything, and I will be cheating if we have these conversations. Let's see. All right. So I wasn't at the George Lucas panel. At that point, I had enough of all H. I had enough of all H. I also love that they made Mr. Fantastic his name because it was his science show, very clever. Norm Macdonald would have gotten a kick out of that. Yeah, I liked his when he was boring people and he was talking about alternate universes. Anybody missed that? And then the kids were falling asleep. Let's see. Papa Yata pissed off. Yeah, he's not to be fucked with. I need him to die. Let's see. Oh no, he doesn't tease. He doesn't tease. He's in it. And if you look at Predator Killers, whatever they're doing with those guys is a direct correlation and a direct continuation of Killers. So those people you saw in cryogenics, they're coming back. Amber Midhunter, she's coming back. Or Midthunder, she's coming back. I don't know what they're going to do for Danny Glover because he's 7,000 years old.
So is Arnold.
He was 7,000 years. Danny Glover's way older than that. He's got to be older than Arnold. I don't know. But Danny, I don't know. When's the last time Danny Glover's even been in anything? Is he still active?
Yeah. Last thing I remember seeing him in was 2012 when he was the president.
That was in 2012, though.
That was like 2009.
Oh, my God. I thought 2012 was in 2012. That doesn't matter. Hold on, how old is Danny Glover?
Yeah, Larry. So what it was? He's not in he may be in Badlands, but what it is Killers that had at Comic-Con. They announced that they had filmed the end credit scene that has Amber Midthunder. You revealed the cryostasis in Killers. They
he just turned 79, by the way. Danny Glover.
Okay, so he's a little bit older than Arnold, but they added an end credit scene that included Arnold and Danny Glover, in the same cryostasis. So pretty much what everybody's mind went to and what I ended up writing an article about is like, they're the predators. The mindset is, okay, you beat a predator on Earth, we snatch you up and freeze you, and then we throw you in the Coliseum.
So I definitely think that we're definitely going to we're definitely going to see them. I don't think they would have added that back in if that wasn't the case. I can't be happy to see Tron Legacy get it in. I skipped Tron Legacy. I wasn't the biggest fan of Tron as a kid, and Tron Legacy. But dude, they promoted the fuck out of that at this Comic-Con. I mean, they had a bike you could get on. I was gonna get on that little bike and just take it because it did look cool. And but that line, they had a line just to get on the Tron bike, and it was long. And I'm like, yeah, fuck that. But yeah, dude, if they were there, there's certain movies. I have never watched 2 seconds of Abbott Elementary, but man, the last 3 Comic-Cons, they put them on the walls. They're everywhere, man. Yeah, it was a deleted scene from there. But I think that they always meant to release it. They just were waiting until they got closer to whatever they're going to be doing.
Yeah, which again makes you only that much more excited for Predator Badlands.
Now, I don't know if anything's going to be going on there, but you probably have something. You could.
Apparently, you know, Arnold, you know, he has been talking with Dan Trachtenberg about like what they could do with Dutch.
Don't think that they won't put him in there.
Yeah.
Remember, we didn't have these. We didn't have these until Comic-Con. So there could be Adrian Brody would be the last one. I would wait for him because he would be chronologically, he probably would be the latest one. Be honest with you, because we never knew when he was already off world when his ship when he remember that movie opens up weird. That movie opens up with them all just falling, which I thought was kind of cool. All right, so what we got here? So here's some more. One of the coolest things when you get down to the gas lamp is the window wrapping, or not the window wrapping, the way they wrap the buildings to signify it's Comic-Con time. They were looking for Red Sonja. This was cool. This was the one that was right across from the Fantastic Four experience that I couldn't get into, like everything else. Better view of it. This was on the Hilton. This is the Doctor Who thing that I was not able to get into, but I got Peanuts had one too. Forgot what I was doing here. Sometimes I just pulled out my camera and just filmed. That's the man. I ate at this place called Belmont Burgers, part of Belmont Park where I stayed at. Here it is right there, man. Look at that menu. Those prices were good, and mine was cheap. And I did not feel cheated when I left out of there. But Belmont Park, if you ever get to San Diego, go to Mission Beach, hang out there. It was right across the street from where that's Belmont Park right here, the entirety of it, as I'm walking up on it. Roller coaster that's been there for 100 years. They got like dunk tank. They got all kinds of stuff in that little thing. I loved it.
Hey, what's going on?
This is me giving you an update, and I'm in front of the beach, but
because I wasn't planning on
doing it. That was the update. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. I left that to come back here. Oh my God. It still hurts. Look at those waves. Look at that. You can hear the seagulls. Look at that water. Right now, as I was standing there, it's about 60, 65 degrees. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh. Look at the beach. So look at those clouds, that overcast. Everybody's just having fun. That's my little room code. That's when I first got there. So yeah, I have more pictures and stuff, but that was pretty much the first wave of ones I uploaded.
Oh, we got it. I don't know if you wrote this up while I stepped away. We got to go on here from Aaron. What about the Predator? The Predator.
I really didn't want to bring that up because
the Predator.
We're having a good conversation about good Predator movies, and you want to bring
and that's not one of them.
Absolute worst movie.
That is the worst of the franchise by far. And it's like would you agree? I mean, you hate both the AVP movies.
Yeah,
certainly more than I do. You would say even the Predator exceeds even those.
Oh no, without a doubt. It's not even. I can't even take it seriously.
Yeah. The Predator is absolutely horrible. I've always kind of said with the Predator, it's I would even say with that if you did like a list of like the ranking like Alien and Predator movies like best to worst of the Alien and Predator franchises. The Predator is the worst of both.
Yeah, it's easy. I didn't go to South Park because I'm just not into South Park. I'm sorry. No one wanted me to go. I asked you guys. I spent weeks telling you guys, where do you want me to go? I told you guys because you guys were sponsoring the ship. Where did you want me to go? What did you want me? When I was walking out on the streets, I was drawing blanks. I'm like, what do you guys want me to go take a look at? I mean, everybody was like, Mom, and I'm like, all right. Do you want me to go to certain panels? Do you want me to go? I mean, I was game. I was there. So I was willing to do it. Because, by the way, my final grade on Comic-Con this year, I give the Comic-Con event C+. The event itself is a C+. I've muted you because your static is just driving the earwax out of my head.
Sorry. Wait, well, you just interject real quick. You because William told me that where he said like last year was like a Hall of Fame run, and this year is just nice. It was good, not great.
This and all the years I've been going to the Comic-Con, and this one or any other major convention, this year was the most disorganized, most miscommunicated one I've ever been to. I missed out on some shit because of miscommunication. I missed out on this shit because of them trying to reroute us into things and trying to alleviate lines. I missed out on shit because of lack of access and so many limitations. And I was texting Rhea, first time since I've been going to Comic-Con, that in the middle of a Saturday afternoon, 1 p.m.ish, I was ready to go. And I hated feeling that way. Everything that they advertised, I couldn't get into. I don't know how many capped off lines I ran into. When I go to Comic-Con, when I go to something that's that big, and all of us fought our way to get in there doing various degrees of whatever, the last words I want to hear are reservation for something inside of a Comic-Con I'm already in. And if you're an artist, if you're a personality, I mean, wristbands and lotteries, I don't know how many times I heard that word throughout Comic-Con. Some of these people had to win a fucking lottery to get in the building. And now, in order to access certain things, you had to win another lottery, or you had to be one of the lucky schleps sitting in front of a computer when a portal opened. I have never felt like an outsider so much doing something I fought that hard to get into and that I had gone to a lot of different times. The access to things, and some of that wasn't Comic-Con themselves, some of that was individual vendors, because certain individual vendors handled it right. I'm going to give you an example. The Magic the Gathering Spider-Man thing where you got a free deck, man, I thought that with as many people that showed up for that, I thought a meteor was headed towards planet Earth, and that line was for the ship to get the fuck out of here. That line was forever long, but you know what? They didn't run out of shit because they were prepared. Nobody I talked to, nobody I know got in that line and was turned away. There was no capping off of that line. There was an end of the line, and that's where your ass went to go wait. And if you were willing to wait, you were getting in. Also, like that Pink Ranger book, that wasn't for me. I got that for Ray, who was getting it for somebody else. If you spent the money to buy something at that booth, you were guaranteed an autograph. Didn't matter where you were at in line. If you bought Amy Jo Johnson's book with all that glitter and all that shit on it, if you bought that book, and that book was very fucking expensive, I'm not going to give you a price because it wasn't mine. But if you bought that book, that's it, guaranteed autograph. You could come into the line. It wasn't going to be like, oh, my arm is tired, or oh, no, there's too many people. No, they told you, you buy this book, she's going to sign your shit.
Yeah, William froze around everyone. Give William a second here. Oh boy, man, William really froze, man. Okay, so while we're waiting for William to come back, should we talk some Kung Fu? Because we got some news about Furious. My most anticipated of 2025 by far. And William can't stop me from talking about it while he's frozen, so I'm going to do that. Actually, it wasn't specifically at Comic-Con, but it was kind of released, in the time frame of it, so definitely counts, I would say. Where is it? Where's that trying to play? Yeah, there we go. Here it is.
All right.
Oh, damn it. I was going to pull up stuff about the Furious. No, William won't let me.
Everybody that had a signing there, those should have been the rules. Now, if I'd have had to buy something to get my book autographed by top front, I was willing to do it. But no wristband, no overflow. And it wasn't just that. If that was just the thing, but it was all the stuff there. I think the alien wreckage one, which I was super excited to take you guys in to see that one pissed me off because the communication up and down that line, we're all standing there thinking we're getting in, but then the fucking security guys and people counting are like, they're capping it off. I'm sorry, you're whispering that to somebody. You need to be saying that to us. It's kind of hot out here for some people. Not Vegas hot, but hot enough not to be standing here for nothing. And then I'm like, hey, come over here. It's like, what can I help you with? You about to cap the sign up? Oh, it's already capped off. And I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here then? It's like, oh man, I'm sorry. No, I'm tired. Listen, I don't want to hear you're sorry. Find the fuck out not to be sorry. When were you going to let us know that we ain't getting in this shit? And I'm like, it's 2:00. Why is it booked up? Comic-Con, what are you talking about? Well, it's booked up and that's it because all those little people. And he gave me the explanation. It was like Charlie Brown talking. Once you're full of shit, I can't hear you. So I'm like, so you're telling me that this whole thing is booked up to the and I told one of the organizers, and I was, when they had the little survey thing at the end because it's like, probably don't want me to fill this one out. It's Comic-Con. All right. 4 days of the year where all these people get to make the most money that they possibly can. There should be no, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, got to lock it up. No. As long as there is money flowing, there should be money being taken. Downtown San Diego during those 4 days in July should be like the Strip all the time. If there's people walking around with money, there should be cash registers and people around to take it. If there's events going on, they should be going on till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. You want to close the main exhibit hall? That's fine. But you're bringing 120,000 people to that small compact area of the city. Why is all this shit closing down? The fucking clubs aren't closing down. But the actual stuff that you guys advertise is closing down. I'm like, it's 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. It's Comic-Con. This ain't some, the Flower Festival or something like that. It's your biggest event of the year. It's the biggest event you have, the event that you're fighting tooth and nail to keep. And any attraction that you have like that should be open as long as there's people out there. If I had a booth out there and I was in the gas lamp and I was making money, I ain't stopping till the money stops. Not stopping. And there was just too many things that had too many cutoffs. And then the line detail. The line detail. When it comes to Comic-Con, anytime, when I'm in that environment, it's usually, I give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm happy. I'm surrounded by my geeks. I'm surrounded by my lizard people. I'm in a state of euphoria. You got to fuck up pretty bad to take me out of that. Day one. I got my badge already. I don't need to go through any of this shit. I don't need to go get the bag. I don't need the little pin free, but any of that. Just want to go into the exhibit hall where I already have access to. They're like, got to go up the escalator and go all the way around. Why? That's stupid. We just got to do it. Do you even know what? No. So we're going upstairs. And the second level of Comic-Con is it's big, it's uninterrupted, it's huge. So imagine like 50,000 people scrunched into a hallway that's probably meant for 12, moving slow because nobody can fucking move. And then I see the security guy. I'm like, why the fuck are we doing this? In those exact words. Well, we want to prevent the exhibit hall from being overwhelmed and crowds just overtaking our security staff. Look at us now, dickhead. We can't move. There is no fire exit. If somebody were to pass out, they're dead. If we all start running, you're dead. So whatever safety shit you were trying to go for, it has failed. It has failed. And now, because of the congestion, it took us an hour and a half to get down to the floor. More shit that I missed. And then we get down there. I'm looking down this elevator. Oh, by the way, don't run down the escalator. Thousands of people, you're going to listen to that. Get down the escalator, and guess what I see? Johnny No Name and Jim What's-His-Face just walking the fuck in. I'm like, and that happened over and over and over again. And I'm like telling them, this is not the first Comic-Con. What happened to last year was an all-timer. It was the best organized con I'd ever been to. It had the most access of any Comic-Con I've ever been to. It had the most. There was no kind of disarray. There were some hiccups, but they're hiccups. These are not hiccups this year. These are vomiting. These are throwing up lungs. This was bad. So I'm like standing there in the middle of the exhibit hall, thinking I'm having the thoughts I usually have on Sundays when the reality sets in. That we got to go back to Earth. We got to go back to reality. I'm standing there in an exhibit hall after having missed out on so much shit, not for lack of effort and being where I was supposed to be, just lack of access. And I'm like, what do I want to do this next year? That's before I met up with the absolute DC guys, Nick Dragotta and Scott Snyder, and I had my interview with Rob. So I'm still contemplating the events around there, the things that weren't fucked up. The restaurants, the staff, like I said last night, everywhere I walked into, I felt welcome. I felt treated. Some people jacked up their prices, which I said last night, I'm okay with that. This is your 4 years. If you stayed open, if you're open and you're welcoming in, you're treating me like gold, congratulations. This is your time of year. Make your money, and I'm going to tip you. Hospitality-wise, the place I stayed was like, man, I slept better in that. Yeah, I went from a fiasco where I stayed at one place to back to the place I stayed back in 2023. I crashed, man. I'm a light sleeper, and I only average about 6 hours of sleep. I got all 8 and it was hard to get up. The bed was comfortable. They got brand new beds. The view was great. The only thing about it was a little common area where that was some little deadly issues right there. Could have ended bad, but I got out of there. But that's a story for another day. But everything else, I mean, restaurants were good. You went to some of the mom and pop places were good. Some of the vendors were cool. Like I said, it was just the overall. I just wasn't feeling it. And I talked to Rhea, and I'm like, "Are you feeling the same way?" And she's kind of felt the same way too. But a lot of it is because, like I said, 2024 was, like I said, I'm going to put that up there. If I had to list the best conventions I've been to, 2024 is probably going to be at the top. So this one just wasn't it. But hey, who knows? I'll be back. Do you think Franklin could be Molecule Man for the DCU? No, and why? I think Molecule Man could be Molecule Man for the DC MCU, but I don't think.
By the way, I forget who it was. Somebody in here asked if I'd seen. I did see Fantastic Four over this weekend, and I'm still kind of getting my thoughts together on it. And you know what's interesting because William, just in general, just when it comes to like the Fantastic Four, just the abstracts, they've just never really been my team. So Fantastic Four, it's like I've always kind of said when it comes to CBMs, they're the kind of the ones I go into the closest to being like a general audience member. William was, couldn't wait for it, and more power to everybody who's, overall, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I would say it's definitely the best Fantastic Four we've got by far.
I hate that. I hate rest of the world. What Brad just said, when you hear people say it was the best Fantastic Four they've gotten.
Well, I mean,
yes, of course that's true because you can't compare those movies to this. That's why would you even mention those movies to this?
Well, because it's like because we've gotten a lot of not great Fantastic Four movies before.
But you can't. You shouldn't even be mouthing the words of any Fantastic Four movie other than this one.
I mean, you've stood up for like the 05 one.
Yeah, but even then, that's no compare. That's Gumby and Pokey compared to this one I just saw. And I like the 05 one, but it was a different era. We were in a different era of comic movies. That movie was actually a success.
Well, and like one thing I do think they did really well with that and Rise of Silver Surfers. The thing actually, the design, the fact the suit was all practical. That was actually a really good design of the thing they had in those movies.
It was practical with CGI overlay, I believe, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, they went all CGI from 2015 on, but that was a pretty well designed like thing suit that they had for that. So that's there are aspects of them that have helped, like the Silver Surfer in Rise is pretty awesome. That chase, the Human Torch, that is still, for my money, the best action scene of any Fantastic Four movie.
I mean, this one, I love this one. Oh yeah, Comic-Con for William talking about them. It's listen, I know. I've had some issues in the last year with Comic-Con. First of all, the whole media access thing. I still didn't get I asked him about that. I'm like, WonderCon, but no Comic-Con? And I know outlets that have like 1.5 people working for them. and 2.5 viewers watching them, and they got both. So
and William shared that the email with me where he said, it's like, oh, we didn't get Comic-Con, we got WonderCon. I mean, I said the first thing I'm sure he was thinking, like, did we ask for WonderCon?
I'm like, well, congratulations, the Sci-Fi Center presents. You're going to, I'm like, drum roll, and I'm like, WonderCon. No offense to WonderCon. Well, I'm going to go to WonderCon next year because I know I'm getting in. But that ain't what I asked you guys for. And two, how is it when you gave me the criteria? I'm like, wait a minute. I know guys who were good, and I go look, and no disrespect to a small YouTube page because I'm a YouTube nobody with a minuscule following, and I love you all. But there are guys out there with triple-digit followings getting in. Well, it's your scope or your following. Fuck no, what? I can count that no given time was I smaller than that guy, and he got in. And I applied earlier. I applied right when they said to apply. Bam, I was there. And I thought it was a process because, maybe because it's the first time I applied, maybe just they see if you don't have to fool at WonderCon, maybe you get. No, there were first timers. And I'm like, first time, like getting in. And I'm like, you know what? And I kept going back and forth. I just wanted her to just give me the actual reason. Did you just look at my page and just didn't like me? Was my head too big? What? Just be honest. But yeah, fuck it. You know what? I got in the way that I probably could have got in.
You know what it is? It's probably why it turned out the way it did. It is because they heard you talk too much smack.
Say something stupid.
You spoke ill about Dumb and Dumber 1 too many times, man.
All right, see, Comic-Con staff, you let me down. Brad's dumb jokes never let me down. I know one's coming, and I know they're going to be bad. See what consistency does for you?
I mean, it's a good thing to know, isn't it?
William, someone bothers me, so Galactus have to. What?
Oh, by the way, the one thing, I don't know if this is meant to be a joke in the movie, but the part when when Galactus has when he gets hold of Reed and he starts like pulling him like a rubber band like this, and like, and you can tell like Reed is in pain for it, and that's something I think I might ask you before on the show, but maybe like to kind of follow up on that is like, has it ever been established canonically like what Reed's like upper limit on his elasticity is? Like how far can he stretch before it's like, okay, that's this stopping point?
It has. It's actually in the Marvel Universe, the Handbook of the Marvel Universe. I have to look it up. It's been years. Yeah, because you can rip him apart. You can actually rip him apart. Galactus could have done it.
Because Galactus stretches him about like this much in the movie. So for Reed, that's like equivalent to like probably like half a basketball court that he gets stripped.
But you realize how big Galactus is, and that's a really long area. That's like 3 times his lane. William, I've been checking through movie releases. Do you think Black Phone 2 was even necessary? I didn't think Black Phone 1 was, but it did well enough to get it, I guess. I wasn't a big fan of Black Phone. All right, William, the Las Vegas summer has so far been very, the entire time I was looking at the heat, and there were some days when I was in San Diego where we were both in double digits. I'm like, okay, as someone who lives from LA, I can appreciate the beauty of Vegas and the desert at large. Get over it. as someone who's from LA, I got over it.
Yeah, what was and you said it was like consistently like 60 degrees there?
It was like 72 was a high, and then like 68, and that
like,
breeze, man, that breeze was like, oh my god.
If I walk outside right now, it's going to be probably about a good like 85. This time of night in southern Georgia, and it's going to smell like salt. It's like we are at the peak of summer definitely over here, and we got humidity with it too.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was a pretty good weather-wise. Southern California just my body reacts to Southern California.
By the way, another thing with Fantastic Four, because this is kind of interesting. That was kind of confirmed over Comic-Con weekend because this is a spoiler. So I don't know. Do I need to kind of walk it back on that, or has it been out long enough?
What's up?
What's about the end credit scene?
We didn't really say. Let's save that for when we in a couple shows, because I didn't warn people about. There are some people in the chat that haven't seen it. What part was Storm versus Galactus? Human-sized person with powers taking on a god. That's happened in the comic books. She's knocked him over in the comic books.
And Galactus, yeah, was again best Galactus we've had, cinematically. And again, I know that's a low bar to clear, but no, he was really well done. Galactus was a pretty awesome portrayal of Galactus.
And when he's on Earth that way, he's on walking to Earth. He's not using the type of powers that he uses, because basically he would destroy everything around him, including the kid he was there to steal. So yeah, I don't think he expected that much of a fight, but her being able to push him and knock him into that portal, I think it was basically him not realizing he had stepped back into that portal zone, which that was his own fault. But that was a bit of a stretch.
And really interesting too. This is, again, without going into spoilers, this movie doesn't end well, except for the end credit scene. Okay,
we didn't want to say that out loud, but I was asking people at the booth that I was missing out on, and I'm asking them, I'm like, how the fuck did these people get in here? Because some of you motherfuckers cheated. I'm sorry, you weren't following the directions I followed, because there's no way in hell that you got. I'm outside in a locked building waiting to get in, and all of a sudden you got to wristbands before I did. What'd you do? Tunnel through the fucking ground like Bugs Bunny? I mean, I don't understand how you did it, but they were okay with that. First thing you should have been asking, how the fuck did you guys get in here before I hand out all these wristbands? Because there's a bunch of people that are going to get here in about 10 minutes that are going to be pissed off and want to know that answer. Just a thought. What were you saying? Something about the end credits that we were not supposed to talk about?
Oh, well, just other than the end credit scene that I won't go into, but this movie doesn't end. When we've got Doomsday and Secret Wars coming up, it doesn't leave actually a whole lot in terms of like cliffhangers. I was kind of surprised with that. I thought there'd be more, as the build up to Doomsday. I thought there'd be more, and not to say there's not. There is one in the end credits, and
yeah, well, because Spider-Man's your next movie, so they probably figured, Do I think the original plan for F4 was for Kang to track down Franklin before Majors was fired? No, because he wouldn't have to track down Franklin. He's the descendant of Franklin. He knows exactly where to go get him if he needed him, or if he wanted him, or if he wanted to deal with him. So, Nathaniel Franklin is, Nathaniel Richards. It's his name. Is Kang is claimed to be a descendant, but Kang knows exactly where he is in time, because he's part of his lineage. So he's a time traveler. I don't think Kang has never shown the desire to use that type of power outside of his time travel. Dr. Doom has. I think it was always going to be Dr. Doom. Now, I don't think Dr. Doom was going to be the main baddie until they realized that Kang just wasn't catching on and it wasn't looking like what they wanted to. I always thought Secret Wars was going to include Dr. Doom, because Secret Wars, that's the way he did it. If you read Secret Wars, Dr. Doom is not the main villain in there, but he becomes the main villain after he steals Beyonder's powers.
By the way, have you seen that though? Because we just crossed the 1 year anniversary of Downey being revealed as Dr. Doom. Have you seen that one video from Comic-Con circulating around that where it's of him taking the mask off and the crowd going nuts and Hall H, and so it shows him stepping up and he pulls off the hood, and right before he pulls off the mask, some guy in the background, because everybody's trying to guess who's under there, some guy in the background shouts out Jared Leto.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
No, I mean,
hey, one Academy Award runner for another. I would have been okay with Jared Leto, but I know because what Robert Downey Jr. means to this MCU crowd, you'll never and that crowd reaction to be there live for that made all that shit I went to get in the Hall H worth it there. Okie dokie. Do we have any other questions about Comic-Con? Do we have any other questions about anything that went on in the last week while I was absent? Because I knew I could not necessarily be there as much as I wanted to because of the type of access, that it not just access, but access to certain things and access to good internet. AT&T, dude, what the fuck? You are a telecommunications giant. Stopped by concrete. Everybody else is getting service. San Diego Convention Center. I'm fighting. I'm struggling. You got the same satellites and poles and receptors that anybody else. I shouldn't, simple mobile service guy should not be getting clearer service than me. And better. I should be able to anchor all my devices to my phone. Can't do that. Signal is weak. Maybe you should step outside. Why the fuck would I step out? So what's the whole purpose of what am I doing? Is that a problem with AT&T? It's like mobile cocks. I mean, it's weird. And I was trying to stream several times before I actually got through because everything it would stop and it would say lost connection. I'm like, God damn it. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with that convention center and AT&T. That wasn't a problem last year. So yeah, it's like, dude, maybe if last year would have sucked and I came in this one, I'd have low expectations. Last year was great. I didn't hear it. I was close enough. You guys saw my video. I was close enough, but not close enough to hear anything like that. I was just remember being overtaken by the whole entire and then that's being the conversation. I mean, that's definitely the right move. All right. So we got Dumb and Dumber in. I haven't seen. What is it? I
Happy Gilmore 2.
Happy Gilmore 2. I haven't seen it. I don't need to. I already know it's a better movie than Dumb and Dumber.
I already have Billy Madison in this lineup.
If you guys would like to add Billy Madison to this lineup, there you go. Throw something at me. So I don't feel so bad when I look at some of the shit that I did while I was at Comic-Con. Let's see. So yeah, we're running up. I'll keep that tab open and probably till Thursday, and then we'll decide the movie, or whoever bids the highest will decide the movie. I'm not even looking for a set amount, and then we'll make it a trifecta, and then we will probably not have a show this coming Saturday. We'll probably have that show on Friday because of my schedule. It's all wacky. Mystery Men, Aaron, there's a link.
Oh yes.
There's a link.
With the
awful fucking movie. Just a travesty.
Listen, man. It's like I mean, the Blue Raja alone makes it worth it for just worth
nothing
it
in that movie. Nothing in that movie makes it worth it. I don't know. Long Beach is not big. Long Beach Convention Center is not very big. I mean, I'll go to Long Beach too. Oh, Long Beach is LA. LA is huge, but there's no place to expand in LA. I mean, San Diego would be the perfect spot. And to be honest with you, even though Vegas could do it, I don't need it to leave San Diego. I just need them to get better. I just need them to come up with better ideas and better solutions. If they did that, like I said, third Comic-Con in a row, the fucking Padres are on the road. I'm literally at a bar watching the Padres play in St. Louis. So I got this big, giant stadium over here that you guys could use to alleviate a lot of this stuff. It's just sitting there. No concerts, nothing's happening. I don't know why they don't like each other. I don't want to communicate with each other. You know what? When you're trying to be something good for the whole city that everybody benefits, find a way to communicate. I know if Vegas was here, if we did it in Vegas, trust me, we would be using Allegiant Stadium if we had to, or T-Mobile, because T-Mobile is right on the strip. You think that arena would be sitting empty unless there was somebody playing? Yeah, Vegas for size, you can't deny it.
By the way, William, a quick question here from Larry. You eat piece of shit for breakfast? No. Happy Gilmore is such a relic of my childhood.
You had a fucked up childhood. That's all I gotta say. Your childhood needs to be. You need to go to therapy if that was your childhood. All right, guys. I think that's where we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. This was my first full day back on Earth. I'm not feeling the type of magic that I usually feel at the end of Comic-Con. I guess it'll hit me. I did accomplish a lot of things with the channel there. I set up some interviews I think are going to help the channel out. I made some merchandising, a lot of merchandising connections. Talked to some people. I was with my lizard people. I was with the geeks. You know, they didn't fail me. But Comic-Con in general, it's disorganization, and some of the vendors and some of the attractions just didn't leave a good taste in my mouth. And like I said, I have never felt that way on a Saturday. Saturday is usually a day where you feel no pain. Whatever you put yourself through to get to Comic-Con, you're still on that high. You're still on that high. And I was standing in the middle looking around because I had gone over the floor. I'm like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm not going to get into any of this shit. Every time I walk up, it was like, as soon as they saw me, is that William? Oh, fuck, let me get my line cap sign out. Just by virtue of me walking up to any of these attractions, the line was automatically capped. I'm like, this wasn't, But as time goes on, as we get closer to next year, I'll feel a little bit better about it. And, let's see, William. Speaking of Jim Carrey, it's already 2:00. I just learned that Nolan wanted him to play Howard Hughes, but then Leo came out, so it's abandoned. That would have been a great role for him. Now that's a role he lost out to Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, it's not like, that's a different thing. At least he was being considered, and that's my question: is he getting considered for roles like this? Because that would have been an Academy Award level. It was Academy Award level for Leo. No, I can't blame that on Jim comedy career. He just lost out to a better dramatic actor. However, for every Nolan that has had that thought, how many of them have been like, it's the guy with the rhinoceros, his head popping out of the rhinoceros' ass? I mean,
that
Nolan's
hysterical scene we watched before William went to Comic-Con.
Yeah, but that's the kind of shit that, like you said, a lot of directors and where are the other Nolans that wanted him to be in their stuff, the dramatic wise, Yeah, it was a lot of weed out there, by the way. Man, California, it's legal. You ain't supposed to be smoking it out in the open. But, there was a lot, and they were smoking. I would go, like, whole lines of people that were like, wow, everybody here is high. And even the people who aren't high, they just need to be there, and they're going to get high. So, all right, guys, please like, subscribe, donate to the recovery fund if you want to watch another stupid movie. Thank you to all who have. And I will see you tomorrow night under normal circumstances. And
one day closer to the greatest toilet scene of all time, guys.
I want you to ask yourself. I'm going to mute this fuel. I want you guys sitting who just watch what he said. If you even utter those words, it's time to grab a chair. It's time to sit down in front of a mirror and rethink everything that has led you up to this point. Goodbye.